Right, hello friends, welcome back to my workshop, and this is the Idle Hands in the South channel, and this evening something a little bit different. We are freshly back from a week traveling with work, and one of my friends that I was traveling with in the week mentioned that their 3 going on 4-year-old son is a big fan of the BBC cartoon, or the novel character Stickman. And there's a wonderful scene in the beginning of the Stickman movie where Stickman and his wife give their children their Christmas presents, and one of those Christmas presents is an Acorn car. And apparently, this little boy, with what can only be described as military grade cuteness, has asked for an Acorn car for Christmas, which is gorgeous. So I'm going to insert a Gemini created sketch of what we're going to try and build here. It's been pulled out of one of the screen caps of this movie, but it's pretty simple, really. So we've got an acorn shape and a cap, and a little stalk there. The acorn cap. It's kind of going to need to be bobbled and burred. Some texture added to it, and so on. And this little car, that's probably going to have to finish about there, actually. And then this little car has got a couple of dowels through the bottom of it, and some circular wheels. And there we have an acorn car. So, with our Stickman friend and his Stickman children, and of course his beautiful Stickman wife, we're going to make an acorn car. So off we go. Right. So there's our detailed technical sketch. In terms of wood, the car in question is coloured a really bright green, so it's a nice unripe acorn, I guess. So we'll just use some beech, a couple of bits of this to turn the cap and to turn the acorn shape itself. I'm still not sure if I should rather make the cap and the acorn as 2 separate pieces, or just make them out of one. But I'm thinking of making the cap separately for a couple of reasons. I haven't quite worked out yet how I'm going to add this texture. So if I get the rotary tool out and start into the top of the acorn and it turns into a right mess, then we can remove the cap and we can try a different way. However, if it works first time, then that's cool. So what we'll do is we'll mount this bit of pretty good condition beech. It's pretty good on both ends into the lathe. We're going to be aiming for about 4 inches. So with our tenon and with our offcuts, we'll get that out of there. So a nice acorn shape for this bit. I want it to be, big enough to hold. It needs to be quite a tactile thing. If you're going to be smashing down an acorn car and wheeling it around, you want to have that. So I think that's our acorn. I think these are going to be our attempts at the caps that will go on top of the acorn, and then we've got we'll make our own dowels, and make our own wheels and put it all together. So yeah, it will be 100% made out of. I don't even know what this was. I reckon this was dug out of the box of scraps. I think this was it's like some kind of fitting for the bottom of a chair or something, but found its way into the scrap bin, and now it's going to be an acorn car. Cool. So yeah, without further ado, we'll get this mounted up and start to make the acorn. Hopefully we'll have enough time this evening to at least make a go at a cap. The cap's going to be this part here is going to be tricky, so there's going to be some hand carving involved here. I reckon what I'm going to do is put just bore out maybe a little bit of the inside of this so it's not too heavy, and then we'll just fit the cap on bowl lid style to this. Obviously a wee bit more artistic than I've drawn it there, but yeah, and then just a carved bit of the same beech through a little drill hole in the top there. So basically another little dowel with a little carved end. We'll work it out. It'll be fine. It's going to be fine. So here we go, an acorn car. Let's get to the lathe. So let's go as close as we can to a reasonable center on both sides. If you're new to the channel, or even if you're not new to the channel, I'm Rob. What am I? I'm a dad, a maker, full-time IT worker. I live near Dorchester on the south coast of the UK. I got into making things about a decade ago, I guess, maybe slightly more, when I was lucky enough to inherit a lathe from my mother-in-law. We'd done plenty of DIY before that, but never really anything crafty. I never really considered myself, well, I'm certainly, as you can see by the stickman drawing, not artistic, but I like making things. And over the last decade or so, my interest in making things has grown and grown and grown. So it started off with the lathe, and it's still my go-to, but wood turning, stone carving, I've done a bit of glass blowing. I've learned how to do lamp work or bead making we'll do a bit of that at some point on the channel. And the idea of putting it on YouTube never really occurred to me, to be honest to you, until a friend of mine and I pointed out that it was the sort of thing that people like to watch, and you know, I like to watch it, so why not make it myself? There's a couple of other interests that I'm really into at the moment, and we'll do some content around some of the other stuff I've been trying my hand at in the last year, probably in the new year, which is beekeeping. So I've got a plan to do a series where I make a national beehive, basically reverse engineering a national beehive that I've bought from Flatpack, so that I can make my own beehives, because I'm now a beekeeper. I've got 2 hives in the back garden, and I hope to do lots of content about the beehives. They are currently packed down for the winter, so while I'm not able to spend my every waking moment thinking about and talking about bees, I'm back to some of my other hobbies, and that brings me back to some of the content I've been making recently: the snowman, the Christmas tree, and today an acorn car. So that's a bit about me. While the lathe's not turning, I thought I'd just introduce myself properly. Haven't done that yet on the channel, so I'm hoping this is going to be a slightly more long form video. I don't know if you'll like that or not, YouTube, but yeah, I've been really pleased with how the videos have been received so far. Let's see how we get on. This is I'm not doing this to become a YouTube millionaire. I'm not really doing any of my other hobbies as a way of anything other than just sharing what I love doing. If this comes to something, then wonderful. If the beekeeping comes to something, then wonderful. But right now, it's all just, you know, it would be lovely to earn a couple of coffees a month extra income from selling some honey later on in the year next year, and we'll just see. There is an Etsy store, and now I'm getting all shill-like, but I do have an Etsy store. So if you see anything that I've made, or you'd like to have a look at that, then please do check it out in the description at the bottom there. This stickman car, if it becomes a stickman car, is not going to be for sale, because that's going to be gifted to a friend of mine for their child's Christmas present. So off with my my trusty favourite to start with, a roughing gouge. We'll work it down. We'll turn a rough acorn shape until it pleases the eye, and then we'll part that off, and then we'll go and put a tenon on it. Yeah, to put a tenon on it. Yeah, we will put a tenon on it. We'll put a tenon on it. Of course, we're going to put a tenon on it, because we're going to want to drill. Going to want to drill and bore out this end of it. So it's going to be tenon, mount. We'll work it out. We'll work it out. Sometimes you just got to get started. So lathe set to medium speed, which in this lathe is maybe 900 RPM. We'll get the shake out of it first. Where the way the camera's mounted, you might get a bit of a wobble for the first 30 seconds or so, but we'll get past that pretty quick. Get this turned down, make sure there's nothing nasty in here. Acorn-like shape, and away we shall go. That hollowing out thought is bugging me now. Don't want it to be too heavy. We do want to hollow it, so tenon on both ends. Tenon on both ends. Yeah, tenon on both ends. Mount this end, bore it, give us our hollow space, expand into that, mount it, finish the acorn, take it off. Yeah, okay, yeah, good. Cool. Safety glasses. All solid, all good. There you go. We've got it. Got the roughness out of it now. So we'll turn the lathe up to speed. I've got a nut. I love natural details in woods. If I need to just super glue that down, just so they become solid at the end. But I like the natural look in all of the things I make. So if there's a knot, if there's a defect, the deform, all the better. Turn that up to super speed. Bring in the tool rest a little bit. Make sure we're nice and tight on there. Cool. And chocks away. Well, that's definitely not going to work. My belt's slipping. So a little bit of lathe repair, and then we can get started again. I saved you all the gory details, the swearing and the crying and the tantrums, but a quick lathe-ectomy later, I changed the belt. It was slipping. So I'm hoping now, when I set to taking a nice deep cut, I'm not going to get lots of spinning over here and no spinning over here. The only way to see if it works is to give it a go, so let's give it a go. Million times better. It's like having my old lathe back. Wonderful. Okay. I'm not sure about the weird noise. Something sounds a little bit like it's singing a slightly different tune, but maybe that's just what my lathe sounds like when it's spinning quickly. I hope I've not destroyed a bearing. Anyway. I'll speed this bit up quite a bit. You saved me from watching me fiddle around with the lathe. All I'm doing is mounting the chuck, mounting the piece in the chuck, and then I'm going to remove my tailstock, my live head from the tailstock, and replace it with a Jacob's chuck so that I can drill in with some Forstner bits. Now we're going to take little tiny cuts from here, a couple at a time. Try and get us a hollow form. Crossing fingers. This bit could be fun.
Cool, we have got
Let's try this from a slightly different angle.
Forstner bit cam.
Okay, so as we said, we've got the jaws of the chuck are now holding inside the acorn. Now we're just going to do a quick turn, make an acorn shape, and this part will be done. That looks good. Okay, now we'll do the cap. So the cap's going to fit snugly over there. We'll measure that. And that will be our inside, hopefully. Big enough. Let's see. So the inside diameter of the cap will be 96. It's dawning on me quite how fine a tolerance I've decided to set myself here. With this hoping to be the end cap, it could. Might not work. So we'll try. I'm gonna turn it to round we'll see what it measures up as again. What do you think? Is it an Acorn? It's not bad. This needed to be shallow because I need to drill holes in here. Plenty of meat for that. So I've got to drill some holes in here so that the wheels will sit proud, and I don't want the wheels to be too big, so this needed to be quite flush, and I'm really happy. I'm really happy with that. So next stage is going to be making the dowels, carefully drilling the holes. I have a plan of how I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a little jig to drill the holes so I know I'm going to go perfectly straight through there. And I need to work out the diameter of the wheels, distance of the cut, distance of the drill holes. But yeah, I'm pretty happy. Okay, I think we're on to about day 3 now of making this Acorn car. I really like the shape of the Acorn. I think that's turned out really well. There's a couple of cracks. It's a really old bit of beach, but I think they're stable enough. It's nice and thick. Not sure that's going anywhere. It is very much dry. I think it's just a bit old and a bit stressed, but we're going to seal it and I can put that bit down. So I'm okay with that. I'll keep an eye. The top, however, even though it's a really nice fit and a really nice shape, I'm not so happy with. Has started to open up already. You can see the crack there, and I think that's going to get worse. And yeah, I could glue it and I could say it's good enough, but it's not really good enough, especially not if a child's going to play with it. So we're going to get rid of that. And then I was thinking, well, I can either use my second piece, which is the same size, and potentially run into the same issues because that's got cracks as well, or I could switch to this mahogany, which is nice and thick. I could quite easily turn that into the same shape. I know I can turn mahogany. It's really beautiful to turn. And I can make it slightly bigger so we can have a slightly more pronounced cap on the thing. And it's also a beautiful dark colour, which is more in keeping with a mahogany cap, an Acorn cap. So I think I'm going to go with this. I'm going to just cut the round on a bandsaw, and then we'll turn this down and basically aim for exactly the same profile as the original cap. But yeah, so continuing, we'll plan this out and then go from there. At what point is it not worth continuing to keep every single piece of mahogany that I turn? This is with the hoarder, wood hoarder, maybe, but. Put a comment in the comment section if you know why I'm using this rather than turning it between centers. quick reminder what we're aiming for here. The calipers say just about 96, bang on. We're at 87, so let's flatten that. Try and get our quite further side. You see that? We're at 89, 89.59, so really close. Maybe a quick sand actually, and that will get us there. Actually not deep enough on the inside yet. So we'll hollow it out a bit more and then come back in with that. But I'm really liking the colour combination. Now you can see it close together. That's going to be lovely. So we've got our tenon or our mortise. I don't know. Words are hard. But yeah, that's so I can hold it when I flip it. The screws are gone, the screw holes are gone that we made the other side, and then we're just sneaking up. On our fit. Turn a little bit more and then I'm just going to sand the rest of it. Yeah, so you can see it this time. Oh, good. And that's reading 91. That doesn't make any sense. What did I measure before on this? Try that measurement again, shall we? Oh. 106. I'm not sure what I measured before, but it wasn't right. I think it helps that my calipers are running out of batteries. Good. Okay, we'll just do it by eye. Teeniest bit more. Let's see if we can get that with sanding, shall we? So, ooh, not that much. Oh yeah. Ow. Doesn't get much more snug than that. Oh, beautiful. Perfect. Perfect. Still got my rebate there. Let's just give this a quick, what? Nothing? Gonna get that. Don't need to touch that. I need to leave that alone now. That's all going to be inside. It doesn't need to be. It's good. Okay, let's take the piece, flip it. We're going to clamp into there, and then we'll turn the outside of the cap, and then we'll see what it looks like again. Happy, happy, happy. Okay, making progress. This is cap Mark 1 with a big crack in it, and cap Mark 2, which is press fit to perfection, and it is stunning mahogany. I like it. Right, Acorn. Okay, wheels. If it were my Acorn car, I'd want it a kind of a jaunty angle. So you don't want it like, so it's going to be a little bit boy racery, right? We want our Acorn car to have a bit of road presence about it. So I'm going to need to think really carefully about how and where I drill these holes so that either, well, no, the diagram, the picture should, the wheels are the same size, so they've got to be quite low. They've got to be quite low on the body, but obviously deep enough not to just fall out. and with the wheels flat on the ground, I want it to sit at a slight angle. This is going to need all of December's supply of careful. Right. I think if I use a jig like this, I can clamp it like that way. Because I've got the flat here, I can clamp this pretty tight against there from that direction and it won't move. So then that's achieving two things relative to, see this? That's going to give me two advantages to clamp it up against a flat surface, which you wouldn't, I guess, normally be able to do. I can clamp it there and clamp it there. It also means that it's kind of helping me to get that angle on the wheel. So I'm going to turn the camera for a minute. I'm going to think this through. I'm going to have a cup of coffee and come back once I've got a stable jig ready to do the cutting. Okay, now that was pretty scary, but I think that's pretty good. Bit of mass needed now. Clearance for the wheels. By the way, if anyone's interested, that was a 6.9. Mil drill. Okay, time to make some dowels. This bit of beech should serve to give me both lengths of dowel. I need one that's 90 and one that's 80 millimeters. The diameter of the axle hole is 7 mil. So as long as this is a shave under 7 mil, it should run nicely through the hole. So I'm sure there are better ways to make dowels than what I'm about to do, but I'm just going to turn it until I get to the dimension I want. That's 9. It's 8, 8, 2, 8, 2, 8, 4, 8, 8, 9 gets a bit thicker. They're saying 9.5. So, sneaking up on it. Quite reassured by how strong it is. 6.6, 6.6, 6.5, 6.5, 6.6, 6.7, 6.8.7, 6.7, 6.7. I think we're good, you know. 6.6, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5, 6.6. Yeah, okay. Nice. Nice. You see that? It's a tiny bit thick at that end. Urgh. Tiny bit thick at that end. That is so cool. It rolls really nicely. That's perfect, actually. Really nice. You see that? And it feels nice and strong. So, I think we make some wheels now, and then we'll just tune everything in and get it dialed in. But yeah, down. I think that's the right diameter. Now I need to drill a dowel sized 7mm hole down there, so I'm going to switch out my tailstock to be the Jacob's chuck so I can drill straight through the middle of them without walking off. Hole drilled. We know it's in the center, which is great because the hole has got to be in the center to make the wheel turn nicely. This we know. Now I know the first bit's going to be too big, but I'm hoping, yeah, that's not very far down. It's a nice tight fit. So if I just turn the end off. Yeah, it was within a mil. So I want each wheel to be not necessarily rounded, but nicely finished. So I'm going to turn each one off and part along the way. So this. So one. then just the slightest chamfer on the side of it. I think that's most of the parts all finished, all put together now. We have a look, see how they go. So we've got our dowel. Does the wheel go? No, it doesn't. Let's see. So maybe bigger back wheels, I guess. Whee! But I am going to need to make another dowel. Am I? I am. I am going to need to make another dowel. Because that needs to be... Yeah, I definitely need to make another dowel. Oh, what a pain. Okay. The problem is at the back it's got to get past the cap, which I probably should have figured out before I made the wheels, but hey ho. How much bigger do they need to be? It's not much bigger. Wheels need to be bigger. A little bit bigger. I can... Sigh. Onwards and upwards, as they say. I really love that. I love the look of it. Look at it. Look at the little thing. Look at that. It's an Acorn car. We've done quite a lot tonight. We made the cap, we made the dowel, we made 4 wheels. We need to, tomorrow, we need to make another. We need to make another dowel. We're going to make some more wheels.